Hello. This is my first live stream. I starting it today. I was doing some pre-recorded live streams. I guess they're dead streams. I don't know. Last week, and now I'm here actually at 2 o'clock live streaming. I'm hoping to get a couple of things done today. I'm not sure how many people are going to show up. I think that I have the right window open here with regard to chat and everything. Anyway, I'm going to wait a few minutes here for just to get settled. I'm looking through my code that's changed here while I am waiting for some people to show up. And I'll commit what I have or check out what I have here. So. Oh, hey, Rismat. I'm planning on it. I'm looking at the chat anyway, and so if I see your message, I will definitely respond to it. I'm not super used to this, so if I miss it, please forgive me, but that's the idea. I'm not sure, can I even type in the chat? I don't think I can even type. I think I have to speak in order to engage with chat, so. Can you all hear me okay? Is my volume at a good level? Try moving this over here. And I'm here, by the way, with my good friend Wombat, who is on video. You can see him in the lower right of the screen. Sweet. Okay, well, so here's where we stand. So just to catch everybody up in case you haven't heard anything or watched anything. So I'm trying to create a vdaw audio workstation just to do some transcript-based editing in order to further a podcast that I'm working on. So I was starting with that, and that went pretty okay. But then as I was working with the transcript that I had produced locally here with Whisper, and the transcript wasn't actually good enough for me to make progress on as far as an actual transcript. Like the speaker differentiation wasn't super great. So I'm taking a little bit of a detour here. I need to make a better transcript. I need it with word level timings and, like I said, good speaker differentiation. So what I'm doing, what I have two audio channels, one per mic, one for mic, one for me, one per microphone that we have on the stage, and they're good. They're differentiated. The only problem is that there is some leakage between the channels. So I'm hearing a little bit of Mike talking on my mic, and Mike's hearing a little bit of me on his mic. And it's a lot lower of a volume, but it's still there, and the transcription picks up on it. And so it's having a hard time like that. The idea, there are some WhisperX parameters that I can use to make this better, but I'm trying to do an audio solution here where I can see that the volume is really low for not the speaker, and I'm wondering if I can't cut that out. So I've been playing with ffmpeg filters. I added them into this vdaw here. So there's two that Claude suggested. One of them is called a gate, which is what this ffmpeg filter is here. It's an audio gate, and maybe it's an amplitude gate. Anyway, I've been playing with this one, and then there's compand, which is a different one that Claude recommended. I think compand is more complicated. It's more flexible anyway, a lot more parameters, and a little bit more difficult to understand. This really seems like, from what I've read, which is the documentation is kind of sparse, but it seems like a gate should work. And the fact that it's not is a little troublesome. I was just pairing with a friend of mine this morning on this, just trying to get something to seem like it would work. The filter's actually on. if we do makeup, for instance, setting makeup to a larger value, it does boost the amplification. So it's not like nothing's happening. But the idea is that I want what we came up with was that it should be that the threshold, let's see here, we set the threshold to be low enough that it only catches Mike and not me in this recording, for instance. And then we set the range to maximum and just cut out that low volume. That seems like that should be reasonable. Maybe we're getting a couple of the values a little bit off. Maybe it has some bad side effects, but I want to see that. But it's not really changing it much at all. And in fact, if we set them very high, if we set the threshold to 1 and the range to maximum, it's not, it should be cutting everything out, and it's not cutting anything out. So I'm missing something. I'm not knowing what to do exactly here. So I apologize if this session is a little less engaging. I'm going to try to keep it a little engaging. At the very least, I can use this time to make the filter interface that I've got for vdaw to be a little more, a little easier to use, a little smoother. And so I think I'm going to start with that, and I'll start playing around with the various parameters and see if I can't make it work, do something anyway. So, and if anybody here is on chat and listening and has some ideas about how to do audio processing that might be helpful, please do pipe up, and I would love to have some more eyeballs or earballs, I guess, on this. Okay, Wombat, are you ready to rumble here? Yeah, okay, let's go. Okay, so I think the first thing, I showed the problem. And the first thing I want to do, let me do a little demo here at least. So if I'm looking at I have this basic transcript here. I'm using a small one. This is just 10 minutes of myself. Thanks, guys. It's nice having you guys here. Thanks a lot for hanging out. And then I have this file type here for the transcript. And so I load this up. Then I've got my word-based transcript. I've got some features in vdaw to make this be less or more of a viewable, readable transcript. But I'm not focusing on that right now. I just want to focus on the actual vdaw, the filters, and getting the filters to work. So let's say I want to play this, and I want to make sure this is actually working. So I'm going to play this here, and you should be able to hear me or hear this recording through the live stream. Let me know if that's the case. I don't want to talk about the exact number just yet, but
we're talking about the periodic table here, right?
We will be, yes. Okay, so that was a little clip of myself and then Mike and then myself again. So we should have heard me talking at a normal volume, Mike talking very, very low, and then me talking at a normal volume. So, yeah, I apologize. I have a button here that says top fans, and I don't think I can change it either. I'm so sorry. That it's like that, but here we are. I do have it set to reading all messages as opposed to just the top chat. So, you know, maybe if there's 1,000 people in here, I'll have to change that. But as long as there's only a handful, I'm just going to leave it on like this. And so I will see every message that you guys say. Anyway, could you hear me? Could you hear my voice adequately through the live stream? Okay. Great. Okay. Well, so that's what we're up against. That we're trying to fix is just make it so that we don't hear Mike at all. Oh, wow. Okay, well, not sure about that. I mean, I guess... Oh, interesting. Okay, that's great. I actually did amp it up through OBS. Let me try changing it back down here. This is at the same exact volume as my input audio here. So this, let me know if this is the case. I don't want to talk about the exact number just yet, but
we're talking about the periodic table.
We will be, yeah. Okay, so hopefully that was the same volume as my regular microphone. Trying to still figure out how this stuff works. Okay, let's just leave it at that for the moment. As long as you guys can hear both me and Mike, at least to a first degree mic, then we can at least continue on. If we actually fix it and figure it out, then like I said, well, we'll hear me and not Mike, and that's the goal. And then I'll have to go back to the whisper and see if I can't get a good transcript out of that. Okay. So, right, so I did this, and so that's all, we just heard the audio. So now I have these filters, or I actually rather I have one filter here. The A gate filter. I have all of the parameters and their help strings in here, and then a list of values per filter parameter. And so this is the default value. Basically, this is the numbers 0 through 9. And the idea is that 0 is the default value. I think one of them is off, like ratio, the default might be 2 instead of 1. And I changed it. But regardless, the idea is that, yeah, you press 0 to get back to some known quantity, and then you can kind of change the scale or change whatever value you want on the fly. And in fact, this does work, or at least it tries to work. I think it is working. So if I set this, so ZF is the command that I've got to change which parameter I've got here on there. So let's say I want to make the makeup. So these filters are very interesting, or this one is interesting anyway. So it seems like from research we did this morning, this is just somebody's filter that was from a different source. Somebody ported it over to ffmpeg. The original author didn't even know that it was ported until he found out later. And it's just it's a generic component, generic filter. And it's got these features like, you're basically setting the threshold and how much you want it to be reduced. That's all fine. But then you have this reducing the signal. It seems like this is the entire signal. If I set ratio, it's going to reduce the whole signal first, and then makeup amplifies it after it. And so you basically can do all this stuff in the same filter, even though I would expect those to be separate filters. So anyway, for right now, I'm just going to change the makeup to be louder.
Yes, absolutely. That's 100% correct.
So they thought there was a finite number of atoms.
And so you can hear that really was a lot louder, and I can change it to be even louder. That was 5, if I make it 9, it'll be even louder than that. And if I change it back to 0, which is the 1 value, I guess they're one are the same.
Or an infinite number of types.
I don't want to talk about the exact number.
And you can hear that the volume has gone back down. So we're definitely doing something here. And I think that's kind of it's an okay interface for now. I kind of want to clean it up a little bit, but it seems like it's more functional than typing the commands at the command line anyway. So the issue is that I want to try setting the threshold to be 1.0. And that's at a 9 here. Oh, it's actually 0.9 right now. But that's like basically saying that anything under 90% of the maximum volume should be cut off. We try this both with 0.9 and with 1.0, so it's not like it's just a little bit off. If I try that,
just yet, but I don't want to talk about the exact number just yet, but
We're talking about the periodic table.
we will be, yes.
now maybe Mike is a little bit lower there. I can't. It's hard for me to tell.
Absolutely. That's 100%. I don't want to talk about the exact number just yet, but
We're talking about the periodic table.
I don't know. It sounds the same to me, to be honest. So I think that's not working. Like I said, no matter what values I'm choosing for the threshold and the range, it doesn't seem to affect it. So, or at least it doesn't seem to affect it down. I seem to be able to magnify Mike's voice, or I can diminish the entire signal, but I can't get just Mike's voice to be diminished. So I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but here we are. This is the exact problem. So I think what I want to do to start was one of the things we had this morning that was an issue was I didn't know what the actual current parameters are. It was difficult to prove out that it's like that I was choosing the right things to do. So I mean, I can press Control P and see I print out the entire command line here. It's kind of hard to see the things in there. I can't edit them from this screen. It's interspersed with these errors, which I should fix separately. But I think what I'm going to do first, and this is the first item on my list here, is to show the current filter parameters that I've got on a new sheet. At least this is visited a work that we can do that will be somewhat interesting. So I'm going to make a filter parameters sheet and show the value of all the filter parameters. And I want to eventually colorize the ones that are not defaults. I think I should be able to edit parameters on this sheet so that I don't have to press the numbers. The numbers would be great for experimentation once I know that I'm doing the right thing. I just want to play with different numbers. But I think this is a good idea to start with. Oh, here we go. Alter parameters on parameter sheet. Yep, exactly. And so anyways, we're going to try that. So let's start here. I am going to make a new filter parameters sheet. make this down here, I think. Let's see here. So I want to make it so that we're literally passing the filter. I think we're going to do the same pattern that we do in a lot of vdaw, where we got a source. Let me make a command here. So we're going to make a command on the podcast editing sheet. Here we go. Add command, and right now I'm going to use the backtick. That's what I use for, well, for getting to the source sheet. That's why I use in the drawing sheet to go back and forth. I don't know if that's a good idea. For right now, we're just going to do it. We're going to open parameters, filter. Sure. And all this is going to do is push the filter parameters for, I'll call it filters. The source equals the current sheet. And honestly, that should be sufficient to get us going here. And this sheet is going to use the source. And I believe it's a filters. Mark that a filters params. No, a filters what? A filters. Oh, a filter underscore. Okay. A filter underscore options. And so that's the main dictionary we're going to do. We're going to yield pairs from this. All right. No, we have a top level. No, we have to go through filter in name values on items. And then we're going to yield from I'm going to look at, so there's two levels of dictionaries here, and so we're going to yield the filter name, the filter parm name, okay, filter parm name, and parm value. Okay, so that's the basic thing here. We're going to add some columns, and it's going to be item column. And this, this is a very basic usage here with just passing a simple list. It could be a dictionary. Ideally, it would actually be something in the source that if we edited it would naturally reflect back to the source. But I don't believe we can do that with Python dics strictly like this. So it's okay. For now, anyway, we'll just deal with this. So item 0 is, actually I think, I'm not sure if it's, the number comes first or second. I think it's actually second. And so this is going to be the filter 0. I believe that this will work here, except for filter parameters did not get made. Oh, I have to add it as a, if it's in a command like this, it has to be added as a global. So I'm just going to add it to vdaw for now. That's one way of making something global enough with the command string anyway. Okay, So here is, oh, okay. Well, here's our value, rather the possible values. How did I set that up? Oh, I see. This is the possible options. It's actually parms, not options. Options are the various possibilities, and I want the actual set value that I'm using. So now, there we go. So this is it. This is the current values that we have set for the parameters. Now, like I was saying, or said in the intro notes, this is all of the values, including the defaults. And so I kind of like that. You can see that. I kind of would like to put the help value in there too. Let me do that actually. As long as I'm here as well. Help equals a filter, not parms, what was it? A filters description. No, filters, filter name, filter parm name. Column here, and actually, oh, so now we're gonna make this be just proper dictionary. Okay, so that did not like that dictionary item. What's wrong with you? A filters, filter name, filter name, filter parm name. Oh, it's a list of them. Okay, so I can't quite do it that way. That's annoying. That I've set it up this way, but maybe for the first part I will actually I can make a helpsters equals a filters filter name. That's the basic, and if I do dict of item.key, item.description for I in this.key, matches that, isn't it? Then I should be able to do this, helpsters. Okay. So apart from, oh, and it's not description anymore. Okay, so that was the idea, is that here's the list of filter parameters for the A-gate filter and the help string for it, for a little bit of information. I don't have to look at the documentation for it. And yeah, that's the first thing here. So, okay, so I can see the parameters. I want to add a column for the default value. So that I can see which ones are different. And that's going to be a filters and filter defaults. I think that's what it was called. And that's it. And this defaults. Yep. Okay, and if we add a default value here, there we go. Okay, and so I'm going to, well, okay, let's just do this. So set the signal, sorry, the threshold to be 9.
When you are talking about matting.
And the threshold is there at 0.9. Brilliant. So let me add, well, okay, we have two things. One thing is to colorize the differences here, which I mean, that'll be a very simple thing to do, so we just do that right away. And the second thing will be to edit them on this sheet, which will be a little bit more difficult, but not too bad, hopefully. So row colorizer, and this will be just a random number. And we want to use, well, let's just hard code it to be green for the moment, or on green rather, I think. We'll see. And lambda sheet column row value. And we're basically saying if the row value is not equal to the default value. I'm using a dict here. I'm going to use an auto dict instead. That way I can just use the dotted versions of those columns. That's fine. And then if I change the threshold,
When you
there we go. Well, those look very good, but that's the idea. So what should I do here? Should I make it be like a nicer blue or red, or I don't know. To be honest, anything is something, so that's fine. You know what? We have this open colors for a reason. So white on 90, how about that? Okay. And we'll edit that again. Threshold to be that.
when you
Okay, that looks nice. So those are the ones that are going to be actually different. Now there's a very small chance that something that I'm doing with passing the parameters, passing all of them, is causing a problem, and maybe I should only pass the ones that are different. So that's something that I'll consider shortly here. First of all, though, I want to make it so these are editable. So we're going to do that, that. That was another thing I was mentioning. All of the parameters on the parameter sheet. Right. Okay. So let's try this. I could use the numbers. Actually, I'll use the numbers here again. Yeah, I don't have any commands on here, so I'll add command numbers, same as on the other sheet. I was going to add like a plus or a minus, like actually using the plus key. But yeah, plus is actually already in use, of course, and the minus keypad. But we're just going to do the 0 through 9, and that way you can see you can use the same exact key bindings as on the source sheet. So let's see here. I'm going to do that. Those guys. Here we go. So this is where we're setting adding these commands. I'm going to add them on the filter options or filter parameters sheet. Filter parameters sheet. It's a mouthful. So this is going to be set on the source. But this is actually a different command because this is not going to be exactly identical to the one that's on the source sheet, which is using the current filter. This one is going to set the current row. Okay, so we're going to do source filter params, and this is going to be dot filter cursor row dot filter and cursor row dot filter parm. That's going to be this could be better. I may make it better. But, oh, and then source dot restart. So that should allow us to set the option for the current row. Yeah, the same thing. And actually, I'm gonna test this out, and I'm just gonna refactor it instantly because I actually want to combine, make that be a command on the source sheet so that I can print out the value. I can do other more interesting stuff. So let's try it out. And that's gonna set the value. And I also would like to make it so that you can edit the value directly. That's next here. So ZF. Oh, I don't have to. I can just go straight there. If I set this to 9.
When you are talking about matter called atoms.
It did.
And so they
did
theorized
set
that
it.
there were an infinite number of atoms and an infinite number.
Okay, so one thing is it did set it, but it didn't reload the sheet, which is means that we didn't see the new value. And secondly, I couldn't use all the commands that I had on the source sheet, like pause, for instance. So maybe I should. I don't know what I want to do. I probably do want to have a generic, like a top-level audio pause button. So I'm not sure. I might be like factoring some more of those things out to the visited object instead of to the sheet object. And in fact, that is probably what I want to do. So for the moment, we're going to make it so that we reload. I was going to refactor this out right away here. So let's do that. Let's make there be a function that is set filter arm. And I guess it's by value. Filter name, car name, and index value. So I think it's just this. This is set filter arm by index, and so this is going to include. Let's say cur filter, arm, okay. This will be the same thing with the source. Set filter arm by index with the cursor row filter, arm, and reload afterwards. And so this is going to I'm just going to put it on the sheet. So okay, and index value. Okay, so that'll do it. Let me make sure this actually works here. And go to things.
When you are talking about matter called atoms. And so they theorized that there were an infinite number of atoms.
So let me. Great. Let me put this down below. Very down here. Okay. And then this 0, oh, interesting. I set it to be 0 to be the default instead of the first value. going to take this out and put this into here and say the first value is in the list is the 0th one. It's kind of more, it's more coherent anyway. Okay, so now I want to, okay, I'm going to refactor these guys out here. Audio pause, play audio, all these things I think are actually going to be on the visited object because it is more of a global state as we're discovering. It's not per sheet. We're not going to have one MPV command per sheet or one MPV instance per sheet. There is a little bit, we may want multiple instances so we can do clever things like have the MPVs set up with different parameters, and then we can kind of just start and stop them without having to launch a new process and incur that latency. So I might turn these into their own class and just have a single one of those on the visited object for now. Let's do that since there's a lot of pieces up here. Okay, so we're going to make a new class, MPV runner or process, something like that. And move that out of the way. We're going to have, I see, source audio. Okay, we're going to, you know what, before I do this, we're going to make sure that everything is committed here, that is added to the index. Because it does already work to a first degree. Okay. Let's move the parent out of here. It's a hard one. Okay, so here's MPV command, MPV query, audio pause, paused, seek audio, great. All these different pieces are part of the MPV process. Playback time should also be okay, so we're going to make, for the moment, actually this is fine. Well, let's see here. Yeah, I don't think this will be too bad. Although this input a filter parameter, oh, that's changing the parameter. That's fine. Set that by index. Okay, so we're gonna move the parameters to the MPV process. Okay, we're gonna pull these things out here. So here's all the filters, and I'll keep MPV proc. Okay, we're gonna move all this stuff. And this is gonna be a nice cleaner setup for sure. So now it's all more segregated, isolated. Okay, so now we're going to proc. I want to keep that one, remove the rest of these here because I don't think I need them anymore. I'm going to keep the current filter and the current parameter because that's on this sheet. I don't quite like that mechanism, but for the moment it's fine. This will set in here, MPV proc. I see. We have to actually set it in here. We're actually going to make a initialize a constructor here to take the source file name. proc. This is the actual process. Playback time, start it, sleep, seek, yep, all this is good. Oh, I see. Ooh. Okay. Again, I like to kind of review the code in my head and get like an idea of where I think should work, so that when it doesn't work, at least I'm comparing against something. Okay, so that's that, and then we're gonna say iter load. Well, start a PV here. I'll just do this up here. I don't think I need source audio anywhere outside of that, so yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do this, and this is gonna be my process. Source audio. Okay, and now we're going to look through for all of the MPV things, functions here, and just move them on to MPV proc for the moment. You guys still hanging out there? I haven't heard from you in a little bit. I'm imagining it's all fine, but you know, checking in. Thank you. Okay. So this is MPV proc. Oh yeah, I totally understand. I mean, I watched myself coding, and I was like, who could stand watching this? And so it makes total sense that you're keeping it as like a background thing. So no worries. I just wanted to see if you were actually still around at all. Okay. And I'm sure I'll get more used to this as time goes on. This is my literal first live stream, like actual live stream. So making a go of it. Ian Wombat hanging out. Yeah. Okay, so playtime. I'm going to have several of these here. Ooh, not that one. Okay, so that's that. I think we're almost there. This refactor. Yep. Thanks, Prismat. I will admit that this is me stretching. I am not super excited about exposing myself in this way, but I'm starting this podcast, and so I have to get used to putting myself out there. I figured that this was a way in which I could put myself out there. Everybody here is very nice, so I appreciate that. But you know, do it and do it on the regular so that I just get used to it. And yep, it's a thing. But it's nerve-wracking for me too. So anyway, thanks for being here this month. Okay, so where was I? I was... yeah. Okay, so yeah, I did that. I don't know, I think I might be ready. Oh, I need a filter stuff. Anything that is a filter params is going to be proc. That's that. So I don't know, that might work. Let's try it out, eh? So I didn't have any. Oh, I do have a pause. What is that? Self-empty vproc pause. Okay, fair enough. And let's see here, why is that? Oh, because it's none before it gets started. Okay, I don't know. That seems fine. I'll let it go for the moment. Okay, so now we have that factored out to its own thing. What was I going to do? I was going to, oh, I was going to make it be more, right, more generic here. So this restart needs to be on MPV proc. Is that it? No, here we go. There's a bunch of things. I should probably make these all be MPV underscore, but I guess it's not as important now that I'm doing it on this. Other object, because it'll be in the string anyway. And seek audio is on that. Honestly, it could just be MPV. I think it will be. This MPV proc can be the own. No, this is MPV. These are all MPV. This is good. And this one I'll keep as the actual process, which is fine. Yeah. Okay, so let's see this actually work here. You can set
when you are talking about matter called
parameter.
atoms.
Great. Shift P doesn't work anymore because these are actually MPV. And this okay. So ZF threshold.
When you are talking about matter called atoms. So they theorized that they were.
Okay, that seems to work. Well, not this though. So this is the backing sheet here. Filter parameters source equals. Yeah, I have to make it be the. Well, I have to make it be at least the source MPV, if not the source sheet. Do I want? I think I'm just gonna keep it like this. It's a little gross, but okay. Here we are, back to functional threshold.
When you are talking about matter called atoms.
And now I can't.
And so they
pause from there. But now I'm going to add those commands to there. I'm going to shift P here. Audio pause on the, what's it called? The filter parameter sheet. This is going to be source pause. So we got source.pause. I may just have that be kind of as needed now. we've got our sheet. We can't edit yet. Let's make it so we can edit those parameters. So that right now you can only set it to these fixed values, and it's kind of fine, but I have actually wanted to say no, set it to this maximum, set it to this exact, almost zero, not exactly zero number. So let me make it so you can edit these numbers here on the sheet, on the filter parameters sheet. So if I edit, we're going to make the, if you edit the value, this is going to be setter. And so these item columns, this is a way of accessing a dictionary or list, and it just uses the getItem method to get the value. I believe, so there's both a getter and a setter for every given column. And so this getter is defined by default. I believe that the setter can be overridden. I'm not 100% sure if we're going to have a problem with this, but the setter is going to take a column and a value, and we're actually going to, let's see here, set item, I think. There's no set item in this, in Python. Let's see, how am I going to actually set this value? So I'm just going to write it out in Python here as a command, a statement, even though statements can't work. Oh, hey, to the hoops. Wave back. So yeah, we're gonna say, oh, it's CRD. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, CRD. Okay. Column, the row, and the value. And so the row here is going to have our filter and our filter parameter name. So we're going to use the columns, sheets, MPV to get the afilter parms for the row filter and the row filter parm. And we're just going to set that to whatever value we've got here. And actually, we have to be a little bit, it's going to come in as a string, so we're going to type it as the default value, type of the default value, and add it to the v. And so that's what we want to do, but we can't do a statement inside of a lambda like this, so we're going to do, I'm going to use a thing called setItem, which doesn't actually exist. But I think it exists in Visualdata. So I've needed it before. Yep, there it is. Okay, so I believe that, well, first of all, I think when we set this value, it's going to actually change it like it needs to, although it's not going to restart anything, so I got to fix that. And maybe I actually think I should, yeah, okay, I think I actually need to make that be a function on the thing here. I'm actually going to do c.sheet.mpv set filter parm with filter parm. Value. I think I'm going to do this type default value thing here instead of in there. Okay, now we're going to add a set filter parm, filter name. Value, and that's just going to actually do it. This is on the MPV proc, so I think it's just self. With the actual value. So this goes here, or close by here anyway. And then this is going to call it set filter parm. So we don't actually get a whole lot here because we're actually going to have to reach in there to get the value anyway, which I'm not super excited about. Maybe we actually do move this function into entity is also. The main point was to pull this out of there and put this in there. So when we're calling it from the other place, it will also restart it. And honestly, okay, then that's fine. Then they'll have to reload, or we'll see. It won't actually reload it, and that's part of the problem. So if I do this and then set this threshold to 1.0, let's see, filter parameters. Oh, because it's actually sheet source. Wow. So 1.0, it's not set it because
when you are talking about matter.
Okay, so it totally set it, and hey, it showed up here. How did it show up here? Huh.
And so they theorized that there were an infinite number of atoms and an infinite number of types of atoms.
Huh. Well, somehow it's magically reloading or setting the value somehow. Oh, wait a second. How is this happening? When we go to the option, sorry, it's always unnerving when things work and you don't understand why. Like it's almost worse. Like now I'm debugging something that's working just because I don't understand actually my mental model of what's going on. So somehow, okay, thanks for asking, response. So I changed the value via editing on this filter parameters sheet, and I was expecting it not to be modified and to restart the server and to actually have the value take effect, but not to have it be reflected back on this sheet, because I would expect to have to reload the sheet to get it, because in the sheet that we're in the filter parameters sheet, the iter load, it is making a copy of these values into a new dict. And so I would expect these values not to be reflected here until I press Control R to reload. And somehow that's not the case. Somehow it actually is making it back here. So how is that? It must be doing a reload at some point. I guess that's the only reload here, and that's on a different command. Huh. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but how is that even working? Huh. Because if I even put the item, the literal key value pair from the dictionary in there, that's all we were yielding, and I was updating that, I'd be like, well, maybe you can update dictionaries on the fly like that, the values from the item. And the default value makes sense that it's displaying something different, because it's actually reaching in there. No, it's not. It's just the same value, so it shouldn't matter. And the fact that it's detecting the colorization does run all the time, so if it knows that the value is different, like I can see it being colorized, but not the value not being changed. the values change too, and I just don't understand how that's the case. Huh. Set filter parameter. Restart MPV. I don't know. Well, I will have to noodle on that. Well, Sherlock Holmes on this at some point here. Oh, anyway, hopefully, Rismont, that answers your question. Yeah. When things work when you don't know why. Well, I'll take it as a... Yeah, that's what I thought, Rismont, that they were maybe passing some more of an object, but they're not. They're being copied into this dictionary here. Literally, I'm yielding a new dictionary, and all these are copied by value. These are all just straight up values. So this interload must be happening again. Here, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do a status here. Comms interload. Classic printf debugging. And see if we get that. So there's loading it, and then now if we change this to 1.0.
When you are talking about matter, called atoms.
And didn't load again. What the actual heck? I guess there's a... No, there's no way. I was going to say there's a chance that the parm value coming through here is not an actual value, but like a reference deep inside of a dict, and somehow that's working. That's the only thing I can think of, but there's no way that's the case. Yeah, it's just plain old values. Well, I will noodle on that later and see if I can figure that out. That's super fun. So let me make a little thing here. Weird updating editing value on filter parms sheet updates value. How? I don't know. Cool though. How is it working? Okay, well anyway, now we can alter the parameters on the prem sheet even better than we think we should be able to. And it does automatically start playing from the source cursor. So the idea that I had here actually was, as you're changing the values, it should always start from the same place. Like right now, because there's... So we have this thing in here, so if we go here, we press play, it'll stay synced. The cursor will stay synced with the audio.
Matter, called atoms. And so they theorize that
which is kind of neat, and actually I think it might be super handy as you're doing editing, especially as it's not just individual words, but whole sentences or speakers or whatever. And then you can kind of like, it'll track along for you. But while we're modifying these parameters, we kind of want there to be a fixed starting point and kind of always starting from the same point. So we can kind of be like, well, this is not interesting right now. We want to get to the point where Mike is talking. Table. There we go. So this is the part that we actually care about here. So we can hear this. If I want to start from just before that, maybe it's here, right? And so the cursor should stay here without moving forward, so that when we're changing the value, we're always starting from the same place instead of from the last audio location. So I want to basically disable the sync. I guess if we're not on the sheet, that's an idea that I had. And then start the autoplay from the source cursor always, which I think is already possibly the case. If we disable the sync, it might just actually work here. And I still want to just only use non-default values in the actual interface, which may have a surprising effect. We'll see. Actually, you know what? Let's do that first. It's higher up on the list, and it's easier. I know exactly what to do for this, or generally what to do for this. So let's go to our MPV process here. As we're putting together the command line to start the MPV here, this is the mess, and I'm not super excited about it, but it does work. But we're only going to do it if the value is, if non-default. And then we'll make a little is default thing here. And we can actually use this. This is what we're trying to say here. Colorizer rather. Not MPV source. I'm just going to duplicate it for right now. There, the rule of thumb is don't abstract in for the first case. Just do it when there's only one. The second time you have to do something, don't abstract it, copy the code. And the third time you have to do something, instead of copying the code, now you can do the abstraction. I kind of follow that because you can easily over abstract if you only need something for two things. Two things can be looking similar, but not actually similar enough. And this might be one of those cases. You can always refactor the third time, or even later if we decide to. Okay, so in the actual is defaults we're making. Self.aFilter defaults. Name, file name. Not equal that. Okay. And so now we should, in this filter params, well, okay, it might, yeah, first of all, not work. If, no, it's inside, that's the problem. It's inside that. Okay. And so, if you look down, there's a command line in there. So it didn't work. If not is default. I think I did it backwards. And there we go. And so now it's saying agate equals, which is an empty thing, which if there's no parameters, it perhaps, I'm not sure if you should leave it in there or remove it. Actually, I think there's value to having a filter with no parameters. And in fact, the loud norm filter, which I'm going to add here, I'm hoping to do that today, is by default it should just normalize the loudness of the audio, and no parameters should be needed. So there are parameters you can add, but we'll do it without that, and then we'll see if agate equals or loud norm equals is valid, or if I have to drop the equals in case there's no parameters. But let's find out if this does anything differently here. Let's find a parent table.
Just yet, but we will be, yes, absolutely.
Whoa! Huh. Now hold on a second. So what I did was make it all defaults, which is different. Oh my gosh. So I'm not sure if you guys heard that, but it seems to have worked by just using the defaults. So specifying the defaults exactly did not do it. Like, hold on a second. I gotta verify this here because this is weird. So, as far as I know, the first, well, actually defaults down here. These defaults are the defaults that is specified in, at least in the man page or in the ffmpeg filters page you can see here on the right. So 1 downward, that 125, ratios 1. Oh, default is 2. Okay, so that's the one default we did differently. Okay, well, so this is all the defaults. So if we don't do this if thing here, this default is always false. Let's just try that. This default is always false. That means that we're choosing every thing here. Table.
Not the exact number just yet, but.
Well, I may have screwed myself up by setting the ratio to 1. No, but well, I guess that's why we're doing this. So I think that it was my one distinct value, which set it to 1 instead of 2, may have broken the thing I was trying to do. And so I spent a lot of time wondering why it wasn't working, when in fact it was just me trying to be proactively doing something different. I thought I tried this setup though manually and didn't get anything. Then I tried it with 9,000 and I thought I didn't get anything either. Maybe I was just wrong. Maybe I was just wrong. Well, that's a good lesson for me. Anyway, I'm glad that I tried this. Maybe this just works. Maybe now with this, I've got something that's actually filtering it out, and I'll do a little bit of a cleanup or make sure that I'm using the right parameters for the attack and the release and the knee and I don't know, whatever other things in order to make it a little sharper. But I might be ready to go on to the next step. Oh, that'd be so great. Okay. Well, let me screw around with this a little bit more here. So, wow. So if I go and I start ratio to 1.
We will be, yes, absolutely. That's 100% correct.
Now, I set it to 1.
Types that up. Seems like there's a finite number, but...
Okay, we're going to do the thing now where we're going to have it start from the cursor row. Let's see, when I change the value start, let's pause. That's on play. Getting a little lost in here. So when we restart the server or the new parameters here, when I edit that, set for the parameter, and then it restarts MPB. Okay, and then it seeks to it. But this is I see. This is the previous playback time, and I actually want to start at the cursor row playback time. Yeah. And so restarting MPV, oh, I have a couple of those, don't I? Oh, there's 3. Okay. Oh, that's not okay. So this I can use playback time if I want to, but I don't. I think I'm gonna actually use the. Oh, I don't have. I do have a source. Do I have a source sheet? No, I don't. Ah, I see. So NPV can't know. The NPV process can't know the source time. I'm sorry, this cursor row. Okay, well, we're just going to do this. So every MPV process has one source actual sheet. And we're going to do cursor row. How do we find it? Press Shift P. How do we do that? Play audio cursor row. Oh, that's start. Okay. Okay. So now I'm going to move it to. Oh. Okay. So now we're going to find the pivot table. Move it. And now if we play from here.
Exact number just yet. But.
Okay. So now if I set this equal to 1.
We will be, yes, absolutely. This guy.
Okay, so that did not do what I wanted it to. This is the sync problem now. Okay, right. It's syncing. Where was that? That was check cursor. I was going to make it so that if the top sheet, if this is the top sheet, so if MPV pause, return, or if isdata.sheets 0 is us, is not us, and return, or rather if it's, yeah, whatever. And so that way, disable sync if now it should start from exact number just yet, always.
Exact number just yet, but.
I edit this to 1.
Exact number just yet, but.
We're talking about the periodic table.
We will be, yes. Exact number just yet, but.
Huh.
We will be, yes, absolutely. That's 100%.
Okay, so. Huh. Well, I mean, that's progress. Two things, well, I don't understand why they're working now, but they're working, and I should count my blessings, count it as a win. At least forward progress is being made. So that's great. Now I can start playing with the other parameters to see if I can't fix it. It might actually even work for transcript as it is. We'll see. I'll have to just try this. And now that I've got, basically it's just turning on A gate with no differences, and I'll play around with some other things here. Yeah, thanks, Anya. Actually, I'm not sure if that's a wave or a clap. Is that a clap? I can't tell my emojis apart. Okay, well, let's go over to the top here, see what else we got going on. Only using non-default values in the CLI. We turn that back on. So yeah, let's call. And that'll at least clean things up. And then okay, so I guess the thing I don't understand is, well, it does make sense actually if I set the ratio. Wait, what? Am I setting ratio? I'm setting ratio. From my understanding, set a ratio at which the signal is reduced. I guess I don't understand what ratio does then. I thought it was like the antithesis to makeup, where first it reduces the signal and then at the end it amplifies the signal. And I was confused as to why that was the case. And now this... I'm going to try setting this to 1.
Exact number just yet, but
No, sorry.
Just yet.
2. And then the makeup to 2. That way it should go...
Exact number just yet, but we will be, yes, absolutely.
Well, I don't understand signal processing, I guess. I'll have to figure that out, because that's the weirdness, is that A gate with ratio equals 1 disables everything. Disables it? I don't understand what ratio does then. Gating is done by detecting the volume below a chosen level threshold and dividing it by the factor set with ratio. Bottom of the noise floor set via range. Yeah, I do too, Rismat. I think this is a Magworld thing though, where it's actually it's in terms of decibels, and decibels are it's not in terms of decibels, but it should be. And decibels are like reducing it by 10 decibels is reducing it by 10 times. And so this might be that it's 9,000 is kind of weird actually. I don't know why 9,000 is the range for a lot of these things, but it makes some kind of sense that it's like, well, 10, 20, 30, 40, almost 50 decibels maybe is what that means. Yeah, and I guess as long as you have 16 bits of data, you could find signal at 1/65,000th, or maybe it's 1/32,000th. Anyway, somewhere around there. Like there's actually notable signal if all you've got is 1 bit of data at the very bottom. You could amplify it and get something out of it anyway. What does ratio do? Well, okay. And so now I've got the autoplay from the source cursor. I've basically got sync disabled. Disable sync is not on sheet. That's done. And then it autoplays from the source cursor. I think I got that. I did that too. So that's all done. Well, that's great for now. Honestly, I'm gonna clean this up and check it in. I have one minor change to visit that I want to check in as well. But otherwise, I think that this is actually success for today, at least in terms of trying it out with the WhisperX. And I mean, it takes like a fair amount of time for WhisperX to do its work, especially because I don't have any kind of GPU that's worth anything. And so it'll be like a good hour and a half to transcribe this whole podcast repetition and see what it looks like. But now, because I can hear the difference, I feel like that's a fine time to try that out and see how it winds up looking and working. So anyway, I want to thank you guys for being here for this first session and supporting me in this. It's funny that it worked out like it did. Thanks, David. Thanks. Nice to see you. I'm going to try being here tomorrow as well, and I have other things to do now. If I have a decent transcript of this, then I will keep going with the actual vdaw transcript editor. And yeah, so that's how it goes. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys maybe tomorrow or next time anyway. Have a good afternoon.